is this thing, like I said, intentional? Is it sabotage? And I don't even think it's sabotage. I'm really at the point where I'm like thinking this is an inside joke and we weren't meant to see it. Kind of an Easter egg. So if you're wondering what we're talking about as far as the actual video, it's this one here. I think it has up to 13,000 hits or so. I uploaded it New Year's Eve. Year of the Rat, by the way. Yeah, 12,695 views. No one has yet debunked it. All they can do is say, well, no, it's not a mouse. But your eyes will tell you otherwise. So if you just look at this objectively, like I guarantee, if you don't tell someone in advance it's in space and you say, hey, look, we're filming a space movie, and this mouse got in the studio and it started running laps around the engine, that's believable. Look at that mouse running laps around the engine. We had to reshoot the whole thing. And they would say, well, did you catch it? That's a real cute mouse. Then you tell them it's in space, then they'd have to walk it back. I'm like, okay, damn, it's just ice. I mean, it's doublethink. It's if you think this is merely ice because Mick West told you so, or if you think it's a video compression artifact because Red's rhetoric told you so, what are you going to do when Red's rhetoric says 2 plus 2 is 5? You're just going to roll over? Yep, 2 plus 2 is 5, and that's not a mouse. That is ice. And I'm stupid for calling it a mouse? I don't think so. You're stupid for calling that a real rocket in space if you want to get into ad hominem. But really, Mousegate, it's a thing. It's not going away. And then we also have, I don't know if we have a gate for it yet. Somebody called it Sexual Assault Gate for the drama at the Flat Earth Conference, which is going to come out soon anyway. We also need another scandal for Alex Jones in disguise at the conference. Yeah, I just turned it on YouTube just because I want to bring a few more people in. I'm going to be killing this stream in about 20. I'm getting ready for today. We're doing a private conference at Zoom on the topic of death fakers and deep fakes. And so, yeah, I did upload a video of the Alex Jones character. I should probably play that now. I'm going to play it now for you just because what we found was, I don't know if it means anything, but do you remember I was saying how if, like last conference, they had a character come out? It wasn't Jake Bird, it was the Roland Reedy character. The people in the know were the people at the top of the conference food chain. Like Karen B knew that Roland Reedy was Hummer. Nobody knew Jake Bird was a plant, supposedly, right? Who knew? Who knew Jake Bird was a plant? Well, according to Hummer and Russian Vids, nobody knew except for some people at the top of the conference food chain and Robbie Davidson himself, who had actually coordinated with Jimmy Kimmel 2 weeks before to have his own conference sabotaged in that way. Isn't that crazy? Robbie Davidson worked for 2 weeks in advance with Kimmel in order to make sure that his conference was sabotaged and his attendees not only looked stupid on TV, but I think to make us look completely unappealing. I mean, it wasn't just stupid. It wasn't just they were laughing at you. They put some characters in front of the camera that were ranting about Hitler. Do you know how many people came out and talked about Adolf Hitler on the Jimmy Kimmel and the All Gas No Breaks? Hitler's never a topic whenever I hear usually regular normal people talking about this. It's not Hitler. And yet somehow every one of the individuals on Jimmy Kimmel and All Gas No Breaks cited Hitler as their inspiration. So the character that we're saying is Alex Jones, this guy, had said that Hitler discovered the flat earth. I mean, it's such a damn joke. And so, is it a stretch to say this is the same guy in a costume, in disguise? Not at all. Especially when you know what a consummate actor Jones is, voice actor, character actor, and the fact that he had a ticket, and the fact that the conference organizer worked with Jimmy Kimmel to screw everybody, it kind of tells you this fits. So this might be a slip, but take a listen. Here are two people who are close to the top of the conference food chain.
Yeah, they went into Russian vids had Rick Hummer on, and this guy was that guy that I told you. And to explain the whole situation with the Alex Jones guy.
So the Alex Jones guy, they're talking about the situation with the Alex Jones guy. She was in on the roll and ready thing. So I think it's highly likely that she was in on the Jake Bird. Like someone needs to ask Karen B, did you know Jake Bird was going to trash the conference, or did Robbie not tell you? Were you in the know? I suspect she was, especially by the way she just sort of flippantly agrees, yeah, the Alex Jones guy. And they're talking about the Flat Earth Conference.
Russian vids had Rick Hummer on, and this guy was that guy that I told you. And to explain the whole situation with the Alex Jones guy.
Now, if you look at the cheeks and the hairline on the beard, I think that's what really makes it stick for me. Is this is probably him in a costume, and someone else showed me the hat that he's wearing, and they're saying, you know, that hat is a Halloween store hat. So I don't know if this was a gaffe when they talked about the
And at the
Alex.
end of that whole conversation, all the details about, everything between this guy and Robbie and everything, right?
So is this Alex Jones in an old fat man costume? What are we going to call it? Going through comments. Hello. Joined by Baked and Awake. Yeah, we're going to be doing some topics. I have a website I'm doing some work on as a administrator. It's mudflood.org. I'm hoping to get time to put into it this month, possibly next month. I might never get to it, to be honest. I can't prioritize one topic over others, but I will do occasional hangouts or interviews with people in the field. And I'm like, you know what? I can't split my attention. You know, we're auto hoaxing real time news. I can't keep my head buried in the sand. But I am interested in it. Okay, so this is the guy, goes by the name Michael. He was on Jimmy Kimmel and All Gas, No Brakes. It's like 95% sure that this is Alex Jones in a costume. The hair dye and the big hat, big giveaways, no doubt. We've analyzed this picture ad nauseum, and what we have found is that they have the same upper body proportions. They have the same face. They really have the same face, same hairline. So this is one of these suits that covers the entire body. You cannot deny these things exist. Here he is with Jake Bird as Alex Jones. Here he is with Jake Bird as Flat Earth fat old guy. And he played the role of a moron. It was intentional. And I've been going back and listening to Alex Jones, older clips.
Yeah, they went into.
Yeah, so again, what are we seeing here? Jake Bird on the right, Jake Bird on the right. And we learned the other night, by the way, that Jake Bird, this Jimmy Kimmel connection runs kind of deep here because the other guy, not Jake Bird, but the other Flat Earth character guy, Roland Reddy, actually dated Jimmy Kimmel's cousin and knew the guy. Or that's what they were talking about, the Russian vids. Russian vids was like, full disclosure, Jimmy Kimmel. So I'm like, wait a minute. What is it with these people at the top of the conference who are just so well connected? Kimmel, Alex Jones, Joe Rogan. This is insane. So to suggest that this is Alex in a costume, it's really not that big of a claim. And the only reason I brought it up again is, we're just looking at this, and a couple of the conference earthers who would be in the know about this both say, yeah, the Alex Jones guy.
Yeah, they went into Russian vids had Rick Hummer on, and this guy was that guy that I told you. And to explain the whole situation with the Alex Jones guy.
The Alex Jones guy? And he didn't misspeak. I really doubt he misspoke. We're talking about someone who's Mandela affected, and the people who are Mandela affected have perfect memories, and they never get anything wrong. So this cannot be a gaffe. Definitely Alex Jones in a fat suit. And that's one of the things I'm going to talk about today. Not that one, so I'm not certain on it, but I am going to talk about the disguises, the forms of disguises, the hyper-realistic silicone masks, the bodysuits, and everything that goes into it in detail today on deep fakers and deep fakes. Jason Pierce says, was the second mouse in the same video? No, the second mouse, this is the reason I think it really seals it. Let's go back to Mousegate for a minute. This is mouse number 1. The second mouse was on a second launch. It's actually an earlier one, which led some to think that maybe their whole warehouse is infested. Now, with me, I'm looking at this as no, this was the mission when they were sending genetically modified mice into space. So if they're sending genetically modified mice into space, and on that mission, on that very mission, they have another mouse show up, to me that pretty much seals it. Separate mission, but anyway, just like the storyline, like it's a joke. Mighty Mouse, Mouse in Space. There is a second video. If you'd care to dig it up, I'll do your homework for you really quick. Mousegate, another mouse, and the second video is by a guy who goes by, let me see, he has a couple of channels. The one I'm thinking of is Critical Inception. No, it's a damn mouse. Look, like, I'm not just saying it, it's a damn mouse. So Critical Inception is the YouTube channel who has another mouse. I'm going to go ahead and Google it for you really quick. Give me just a moment. The second one is even more damning if you ask me. Because the second mouse doesn't just fall around the side, which they say, oh, it's just ice sliding around the side. No, the second one looks up, moves backward, moves forward, it moves around a bit. And again, this, and I predicted this part of it. So, Jaren and Bilu and Bob from Globebuster said it was pareidolia. That it was what everyone else said it was, which is what Rez Rhetoric said, pareidolia. And I looked into it, and no, that's not a good enough explanation, pareidolia, for one thing. But two, the second mouse doesn't move like the first one sliding down the side. I'm going to look up mouse number 2 for you. I'll be right back. This is Chief Crow, space is fake, AF. And if you haven't subscribed on DLive, please do.
What happens if you get a leak on that? You have a leak. Debunk my bubble. It's hard to comprehend.
Space is fake AF.
2 little bitty O-rings.
Space is fake AF.
It's not what you think, homeboy.
Space is fake AF.
It's all just start doing this.
Space is fake AF.
Research Eddie Bravo. You just have a leak.
When you need funding for your business, you
Okay, this next one is Auto Hoax. I'm looking for Mousegate number 2. Give me just a moment here.
I'm on auto hoax and it feels so good. You just auto believe everything like I knew that you would. In my dream, you know I ain't got time, baby, for another crisis actor with soulless eyes.
Okay, I found it. I found it for you. So this article, no globebusters, Belu and Jaren, it's not pareidolia, mousegate, which is what they called it. I have actual quotes here. Belu said he was seeing mice and other cats and cheese. He was saying, oh, we're just seeing things. So they completely ignored it. So globebusters does not want to talk about mousegate. And I predicted that they wouldn't. I said globebusters is not going to talk about mousegate because they also fake ISS transits. And if you're faking ISS transits, then you're working for the other side. And this little scandal here reflects poorly on the ISS because they were taking the supplies to the ISS. So this is from a different launch. This is not the mouse launch. This is from Starlink. And check this out. Okay, so one of the security guys from Starlink, someone who does, and his name is, well, he's on my Twitter account. I'm being followed by someone on Twitter who does work for Elon Musk. I've been messaging him about this mousegate thing. His name is RX Cole, security engineer, director at startup Security Mentor. So I'm looking into him because I'm like, well, he's looking into me. So let's see what we have here. Protecting this world, Mars, and beyond. He says, I am currently protecting rocket code and satellites, among other things. I cannot comment on every project. My most notable is Starlink. So this guy is following me on Twitter. And here is Starlink. This is a Starlink mission, rather. This is one of the things that he's obviously involved in. And this is not mine, but someone else had found this. Is Critical Inception. So what you have on this one, and he is going to zoom in, same exact shape, only this mouse moves back and forth. It moves in, looks around, and it steps back. So it's not the same as the other one that falls around. This one actually stops, and again, it looks like it waves at the camera. It looks up. The ears remain fixed as ears. So if you're saying it's just a chunk of ice, you think it's just a snowball in space, explain to me how those ears not only remain ears, but how they're accurately and properly reflecting the light, and even explain the mouse-shaped shadow. It has a mouse-shaped shadow. It's almost too perfect. So I'm more inclined to think it's CGI or maybe even an insert, little AVR, augmented virtual reality. What do you all think? Oregon D's confused. Why don't you call in? Why don't you instead of getting all confused, why don't you answer this question here? Is that a mouse? Ivy Henriksen says they'll delete the comments on Twitter if you talk about the mouse. Yeah, they're trying to censor it, is what I'm saying. They don't even want this to be addressed. And here's my thing. Anytime you see an asteroid in space shaped like something special, like on Halloween they have a skull-shaped asteroid. On Christmas you had a snowman-shaped asteroid. Thanksgiving you had a turkey-shaped asteroid. They're constantly saying, hey, look, we saw this in space. And I'm like, well, that's not pareidolia. Nobody's calling the astronauts sick in the head. So how come they're not running around saying, look at this miracle? Twice in a row, space ice debris has formed into the shape of mice on missions sending mice to the moon. And these ice sculptures even move like mice. I just don't understand why Red's rhetoric can't be a little more appreciative of this miracle. And I keep running this by him because it's like, look, I see its tail when it turns around. We're talking about a snowball at Mach 8 spontaneously forming itself into the shape of a mouse and then running around. Not once, but twice that we've caught. Yeah, that mouse's head turns around. This mouse is actually mousier than the other one, if you can believe it. And this was found on January 4th. I'm going to give you a link. So again, is it a mouse? Oregon D says, I think they're putting it in place to push the flat versus round debate as long as we're arguing. Okay, you say that, but how are they pushing the debate with this? They're ignoring it. The only one talking about it is me. Glowbusters doesn't touch it. No one else will touch Mousegate. None of the other quote flat Earth channels or channels that go into criticizing the space agencies will touch Mousegate. They're afraid to. Jaron won't touch it. Belu won't touch it. Bob won't touch it. Why is that? And I predicted it. It's because they work for NASA. It's why they're always begging for money openly, consistently. Oh, here's my, always every other sentence. It's because they want you to think that they're basically working for you, not working for NASA. They got to give the impression. Why else would they be protecting these storylines? Why would they be protecting this propaganda? This mouse looks realer than all of the fake ISS transits that Glowbusters has brought to you. Look at those ears. Going through comments. Mies Kang says, the mouse thing's new to me, don't know enough about it. Well, here's the thing. Multiple missions have been sending supplies to the space station, and this is from SpaceX for some time. This is like the 19th one. No, this is even before that one. The 19th one had the mouse that we pointed out earlier. But people are finding that many of these launches are accompanied by these mouse-like critters running on the Merlin engines. So I think just based on this, just based on the fact that I've got somebody from SpaceX stalking me as a result of it, I think this is an inside joke. And this guy works on Starlink. He works on this very project. So if there was nothing to it, I don't know why else they would be following me. I only have about 40 people following me on Twitter. Miss Elise says, I agree, the Flat Earth cast are working for the same site as NASA. I've said this from day one. Oh, yeah. Well, look, here's what you need to know to conclude that. Not only will they not talk about anything like this, but they knew 2 weeks before the Flat Earth conference that it was going to be sabotaged by Jimmy Kimmel's crew who were dressed up as ABC. And I don't know if you heard it the other night. This isn't me making anything up. And if you read my blog at timosman.space, you would read my notes on it. Basically, Russian Vids and Rick Hummer talked about this thing. And not only were they not in the know, others, like John the Cop, they were pretty upset when they were put on the news, when they were put on Jimmy Kimmel, because they didn't know about it. And Robbie said, I didn't know. I didn't know Jimmy Kimmel was there dressed up as ABC. Turns out that was a big lie. And then on top of it, one of the crew members, I'm not going to say which one because it's going to come out, had sexually assaulted one of the ticket holders at the conference, and the organizers tried to throw her out before she could file a police report. That's the sexual assault gate that was mentioned on Facebook. They actually tried to throw a conference attendee out so she couldn't rat on one of the Jimmy Kimmel guys. I mean, that's a big deal. Jimmy Kimmel sends his crew undercover to trash the Flat Earth Conference with the assistance of the leader of the Flat Earth Conference and one of his crew members, and this is going to really make some waves, apparently grabbed a woman and touched her inappropriately, and she called the cops. The organizer of the conference tried to chase her out. They said his eyes were bulging, he was making clicking noises, and he was running in circles around the table chasing her. So that's going to get out, I guarantee. I'm 1,000% sure it's going to get out. And this is the reason why the organizers, a couple of the organizers stepped down. They stepped down because it has come out. The organizer's wife, she spilled the beans. Oh yeah, we knew about it 2 weeks ago. We were working with Jimmy. So that wasn't a surprise. That it also would suggest that Mark Sargent might be lying as well. Mark Sargent was interrupted during an interview, and he had that little skit where he was kind of playing around with Jake Bird. Well, I had a witness actually call me and they said, no, Mark was wired up. He knew it was a skit and he was posing for the camera. So, yes, the Flat Earth Conference was working in tandem with the MSM to make you all look ridiculous. And worse than that, they sided with Alex Jones. I mean, you thought, I mean, that guy was dropping the ball not just on Sandy Hook, but everything. But now we don't know 100% yet, but we're close. I mean, I'm pretty much convinced of it, but we're still trying to, find out if this is 100%. Is this Alex Jones in a fat suit? Well, here's a few of the reasons why I think so. And this is not the best picture, but Jones knows Jake Bird. Jones did buy a ticket for the conference. We have confirmation Alex Jones had a ticket. The guy, John the Cop, admitted that InfoWars had crew there. So InfoWars had crew at the Flat Earth Conference. Jones had a ticket. Jones knew Jake Bird from another incident. They already know each other. So here's Jake Bird with the guy we're suggesting is Alex Jones in a fat suit and a wig and a mask. And if you know anything about Jones or you did any digging, you know what kind of voices he can do. You know the kind of impersonations. In fact, he loves to impersonate dumb rednecks, hillbillies. It's one of his favorite things. He's got the voices. Give us our take on Max Egan. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, Max Egan, his real name. His real name got out. Max Egan, if you don't know who he is, he's a truther who has really pretty much been against the flat earth vehemently for about 2.5 years now, 3 years now. And the other day he said that a beam of light struck him in the forehead, and now all of a sudden he believes the earth is flat. And he believes that mountains are giant trees and mud floods happen every couple of years. So he totally just believed every conspiracy theory all at once, and he just ranted about it for like 30 minutes, and people thought he was crazy. The next day he comes out and he says, okay, I was wrong. The earth is flat, but it's also a globe. It just depends on what you believe, which doesn't make any sense. So Max Egan's real name, and this is after something else. He'd put this out because people are really kind of grilling him right now. Like, Max, what is this bullshit? Why are you saying that the earth is a globe and it's flat, depending on what you believe? So he puts this kind of a farewell message. I have been targeted. I spent 5 days in a state of brain fry in the last week attempting to process what I've experienced. I have no reference point for anything like this. All I can assume is I guess the fire videos were too hard hitting and put me far above the radar, so they hit me. I'll be taking a week out or 2 weeks out to make sense of it. I appreciate your understanding. So he claims that his videos on the fires in Australia was so edgy that they zapped him with 5G and just downloaded a bunch of information into his head. And now he's a flound earther. Flound, Flound, because he thinks it's flat or round depending on what you believe. So that's pretty much it. My take on it, Max bullshit. I suggested he should come up with the 14th flat earth clue, like the flat universe closing in on itself, because that's what they're saying it's doing. So then the flat earth could be bending into a ball, but only because mass belief, because belief makes reality according to Max, mass belief is shifting us from flat into round. So Max is kind of like the guy. He's the one in the Matrix who can tip the scale the other way. Max is there, and if he decides it's flat, it goes flat. If he decides it's a ball, it's going to be a ball. So we're waiting on Max Egan to come out and decide what shape the world is in so we can all just adhere to it. Flatlander says so many agents in FE. Well, it's so many agents within the media and the controlled media, and the alternative media is all controlled. The decentralized media, the independent media, alt media, all controlled. And not only is it all controlled, but they plant people to control things. Thirst for Truth says the Egan story shouldn't be a big deal after the New Zealand claims. I didn't know who Max Egan was until he contacted me after I said New Zealand was a hoax. and he tried to set me straight on it. And that's the only reason I paid attention to him at all. He tried to correct my thoughts. He tried to say, "You're wrong. You're being misled to. Who told you it was fake?" And he was asking for names. He's like, "Did you talk to Jim Fetzer? Who told you it was fake?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? Who told me it was fake?" I watched it. I watched the second video where you see people playing dead and getting off the ground. You see a guy with a Windex bottle full of fake blood. And he's like, "I didn't watch the second video." Well, if you didn't watch the second video, then how can you say the whole thing was real? The second one's the giveaway. The first one was ambiguous at first until you recognized that you were looking at dummies and squibs. Okay, I have to get ready for this deep fake and death fakers. It's going to be a 3.5 hour hangout. We're going to start very soon. Oregon D says, "I just watched PK's 5 hour breakdown of New Zealand." We've got a breakdown of New Zealand called Christchurch Shooting Documentary. Now, I chose that name, or we chose that name, to be very generic, so people looking for a documentary on it might come across our documentary, which it does show up with those key terms, Christchurch Shooting Documentary. And this is a 30-minute breakdown of the event. And right here, in fact, if you cut to about 17 minutes in, you can see the people playing dead and getting up off the ground again. You can see them placing little bullets on the ground that haven't even been fired. I mean, this whole thing is a joke. Watch, this is the guy on the ground with the turquoise shirt, one of my favorite ones, who, look, they're all texting each other. Okay, look at this guy here in the green jacket. That's all you need to know. The guy in the green jacket is walking around, and that's after he fakes his death. In this, I also have the anomalous footage of the second shooter, stuff that's all been deleted since. No blood, no tears, nothing. The second one is actually pretty clearly a drill with even like a whiteboard on the wall. And I think the whiteboard is being used to tell them what time to do what. Like, see this guy in the white over here? Man, this is a great one. I could see why you could spend 4 hours on it. This guy in the white, we see him later outside with red splotches all over himself. And he's being followed by another guy who's got a spray bottle full of, here it is, Windex. Same guy, posing for the cameras, no bullet holes. Now he's covered in red paint. And this guy behind him has a Windex bottle full of fake blood. It's a Windex bottle, red liquid. The guy in front of him is covered in what's supposed to be blood. Earning his paycheck. And they try to say if you downloaded a copy of it, you'd go to jail. Oh, Russian vids, that's right. Everyone's confused. Oh, because he was being called Ben. That's another point, too. So, Hummer not only knows Kimmel and Kimmel's family, but Hummer is also, man, that was kind of a weird thing to find out, too. Friends with Russian vids from pre-Flat Earth, as in like before. Like, what was Russian vids doing before Flat Earth? Here's a link to the BitChute. Okay, so I'm going to take off. If you're going to be attending the Death Fakers and Deep Fakes, I'm going to be recording that today. We're going to be in a Zoom conference. It's going to be like 3.5 hours. I don't know when it's going to be produced and replayed. It just depends on how busy I am this week. I got Cult of the Obelisk out within a couple of days. So if you want to get a ticket to that, here's a link, infiniteplanesociety.com. And if you use the code REAL, you will get a half off. Miss Elise says Hummer's friends with Neil deGrasse Tyson too. Remember that? Oh yeah, so much shadiness all around. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, you can point at Jimmy Kimmel's crew and Jake Bird, but really the whole group is shady. It's a circular firing squad of shills, and we're just on the outside watching.
Your eyes and scrub